All right, excellent afternoon to all those who are watching me across the states in Nigeria. They said the resilience of democracy is tested in its darkest moments. How a nation responds to threats defines its future in terms of crisis. And of course, the strength of a nation's revolvement is also reviewed during these challenges. How we confront and understand this moment shapes the governance and the democracy for our future. Again, I welcome you to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kiki. I remain your convener, your chief host of this platform, your executive producer on Real Talk with Kiki. I think it's important for us to hear what on this day industry segment has for us today. Let's hear this, and when I come back, I'll give my 2 cents on it. Stay with me, I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. My takeaway for on this industry segment, if you ask me, is the fact that I love today's own because it celebrates a phenomenal figure in music, that is Ayodeji Balogun, aka Whiskey, and he has been making us proud for over a decade. And especially in African music and global entertainment, I think it's important for me to emphasize on that. And in this era, he's one of the most influential figures in terms of impacting the youth in Nigeria. I hope that they begin to see that how they add more positivity to the youth, aside the ills that comes with the stardom and the likes and all of that. So on today's on this day in history, I just want to say happy birthday to Wizkid, and I wish him the very best, even though all the basketballs between himself and the other artists, this should be a new era for him to calm him down, but anyways, don't let me take away from today being an history of Wizkid in terms of positivity that he has added to entertainment and of course to the youth at large. I think it's important for us to get a quick message from my sponsors, those that have put me on this platform. Let's get a message from there, and when I return, I dive straight to the topic at hand. Stay with me, I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. Whether we like it or not, whatever happens in America always have an impact and influence on other countries of the world, and that chain of reaction is driven by 3 different angles, which are the economic concerns of the world, the bilateral relations, and of course other countries that have within America, and the multicultural composure of the American population, having citizens of many other countries in America. And of course, I must say today on the live show, I will dive into a recent news at the intersection of politics, of security and public perception in the tweets that unfolded just few days ago, I think over the weekend, where before Donald Trump's deadline to select a running mate and an assassination attempt unfolded at a rally in Pennsylvania, sparking wild pride, speculation, and controversy. And this incident has not only reignited debates on political violence and candidate safety, but it has also intensified would I say existing conspiracy theories circulating online and of course in the mainstream media. And the implications of this event loom large over the upcoming election, influencing voter sentiments and campaign strategies alike. So we would delve into real talk on the role of media narrative in shaping public opinion. And with my guest today, I will engage him on the challenges of maintaining transparency amidst speculation. We aim to uncover the broader implications for democracy and of course the governance in America. And I think it's important for me to welcome my guest in quickly because I know that we are running out of time. I must say many thanks again to Professor Aworawo for creating time to do this with me. It's a pleasure to have you again on Real Talk with Ike. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Many thanks for always honoring our invite. So let's just dive straight to the topic at hand, because many have tagged that assassination attempt as a winning strategy for Trump. I must ask you, Professor Aworawo, how is the assassination attempt on Donald Trump impacting world politics beyond America and influencing the votes in America?
The assassination attempt has, boosted the electoral victory possibilities of Donald Trump. There is sympathy all over the place, also from, of course, Joe Biden, the president. Leaders across the world are expressing their, solidarity for Donald Trump and expressing condemnation for the violence which was carried out, in which, by the way, a few people died, about 3-4 people also died, in the attempt. But as far as the electoral chances, electoral issues are concerned, they are all positives for Trump. And he seemed to realize the gains he will likely have from it, such that as soon as he was able to just, stand up when the threat was confirmed to have, been taken away, he clenched his fist to show as if, the Superman is here, the man that has the capacity to make America great again, as he has been saying. So it's a boost for Trump, except that the elections are still a couple of months away, and 1 month is a long time in politics. So there's a whole lot that will take place between now and the elections. Even though this has boosted his chances, has made him a lot more popular, has created the aura of Superman, but it's still a long time away from the election, and that one singular act will not guarantee victory for Trump, even though for now there are positives for him on account of the attempt to assassinate him.
All right, I hear you, even though on the streets of socials or quite a number of people do not share in such perception. But away from that, what does the selection of J.D. Vance as Trump's running mate signal about the direction of the Republican Party, and how might it, what's the word now, influence the campaign strategy? The reason why I'm asking you this question is the fact that I believe that all of this somehow will kind of have international community, come on board, including figures like British Prime Minister, that responded to the attack that you just, gave a submission on regarding what is going on in America at the moment. So my second question is, what does this reveal about the global perception of American politics in general?
Well, the assassination attempt is a positive thing for Trump, but it's not so positive for American politics. In fact, some are saying that, so what's the difference now between America and Banana Republic, where violence, characterizes electoral processes? So for America generally, it is not a positive, although, people are being influenced by the desire to be sympathetic, the desire to be on the moral high ground. So that's why you have this. They are not minding what Trump is, whether they agree with him ideologically or not. The humanity in us, is what is influencing world leaders to sympathize with Trump and wishing him well, even if they don't agree with him politically. They are showing their solidarity for him. So the fact that world leaders are greeting Trump, expressing sympathy for what he went through, is not to say that they agree with Trump's points of view, or they believe in the rhetoric that Trump from time to time presents in the public space. But when things like this happen, it makes sense to show one's humanity, and that is what has happened. Then the choice of the vice president, well, they share ideas. The ideas are similar, except that the VP pick is not as extreme as Trump, and many think that it will go well, for Trump's constituency, those are supporting, because if he brought somebody who does not share this American great again and this emotional fervor that Trump tries to whip up, it will not be positive for Trump. So it's a good one for Trump, really, because it's in line with what to make that his base to support him as strongly, to be out on election day, because he shares Trump's ideas and philosophy, even though it's not nearly as extreme as Trump is.
All right, many thanks again for that elaborate submission. So, moving away from politics now, let's move into the administrative aspect of his belief or idea when it comes to immigrations, because Nigerians and other ethnic minorities in the US are not supportive and aligning with Trump's policies. Do you think that will affect Trump's votes in the coming elections? Because as we discussed the implications for American citizens' voting decisions, I must ask you, how might this event, impact voters' turnouts and political engagement globally, including in African countries? Because there is also a conspiracy theory to Russia's involvement in American politics over time through cyber attacks and rigging. So I must ask again, what stance do you think Russia is taking with the event unfolding and connecting it with those policies that I've asked earlier?
Well, it is not unreasonable to assume that Russia might have had a hand in the assassination attempt as a way of boosting Trump's chances, because Russia under Putin is convinced that if Trump wins the election, the support that the US gives to Ukraine now will not be there. It will not be nearly as extensive, and it will be in Russia's advantage. And so it is not unreasonable to believe that Russia might have had a hand in this attempt, even though for now, what the facts seem to indicate is that the young man, the Matthew man, acted alone, but it is not reasonable to add in it. As investigations go on, as more facts emerge, we'll be able to establish with certainty whether the young man acted alone or not, or whether some external influences like Russia also is a contributing factor to what happened a few days ago. But in addition to that, as we get close to the election, Russia is going to do it, even if Russia didn't have a hand in this attempt to assassinate Trump. Whether it was just something that was just cooked up, made up so that Trump's chances will be increased. Russia will do a whole lot as we move on. Russia is going to, do a whole lot, cyber attack, all sorts of things that puts out, misinformation there to try to discredit the Democrats, all to put the chances of
All right, apologies, I'm going to have to interrupt your line of thoughts. We'll go on a quick break, and when I return, hopefully the network will be better and the conversation will continue. Stay with me, I'll be right back. This is Real Talk with Kike. All right, glad to know you are still right there with us. In case you just joined the show, today's conversation, we've delved into the assassination attempt on Donald Trump and its profound political implications, and we've explored the surge of conspiracy theories following the incident, discussed its impact on electoral strategies, and of course examined the broader implication for national security and public trust. And joining us to unravel the complexities of this unfolding events is our esteemed guest, Professor David Aworawo, a distinguished expert in international relations and strategic studies from the University of Lagos. With a career spanning over 2 decades, he has consulted for numerous organizations, including the Foreign Service Academy, the Presidential Amnesty Program, and ECOWAS. And I must say many thanks, Professor Aworawo, for all that you've been doing thus far and for lending your voice on issues that affect you and I. And on this note, I think it's important for me to quickly open the phone lines. Remember that you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio number 081-188-88113, showing on your screen right now. And of course, we're streaming live on Facebook, both on Silverbird platform and on Real Talk with Kike platform. Please remember to subscribe to my YouTube page, Real Talk with Kike. So moving away from that, I must say many thanks, Prof, for all that you've shared thus far. I must ask you, what role can international organizations, play in responding to security threats against political figures globally? And the reason why I'm asking this is the fact that I believe that African countries contribute to these efforts. What's your take thus far with this?
Well, everyone can actually contribute, but the most effective way to combat this kind of violence, that is attempts to assassinate, is intelligence. And that is where, everybody's, input is important. Because what becomes intelligence can be just a piece of information that somebody presents, and the information is now processed by the security authorities, and then they're able to establish whether it is credible enough to be accepted as intelligence, and then they work on it. For instance, the attempt to assassinate Trump, there are indications that there were individuals who noticed the young man, the Matthew man, and he had security, agencies, but somehow, because there was no coordination among the layers of security men who were present, one side thought it was maybe another men there on the roof. So one set thought that, these are part of the police plainclothes men who are there to also be part of the layer of security. And so there was that confusion, and that was what gave the man the opportunity to be able to start shooting. So if there had been coordination, it would have made it a lot easier to take him off and make it impossible for him to be able to shoot the way he did. So everybody can actually contribute. International organizations
course, they have helped several countries to be able to improve their security architecture. Of course, they've also assisted with intelligence where necessary, depending on what the objectives of the international organization is. If it is one that is specialized, it focuses on a specialty. The ones that have to do with military, of course, they are also the regional assistance along that line. And African states are not immune to this. The United Nations has done a whole lot in terms of keeping peace, maintaining peace, ensuring security, across the continent. In fact, the UN's first peacekeeping effort was in the Congo. And since then, the bulk of UN peacekeeping has been in Africa. And of course, other organizations too have contributed to security across the continent. So everyone can contribute, but I reiterate, the key thing about preventing this kind of things, intelligence. And that is what must be strengthened if this will be prevented in future.
The network is a bit erratic at your end right now, so we're struggling to hear most of the things you were saying. But I'm hoping that you can hear me at the moment. Can you hear me, sir? Looking ahead, with all that you've shared thus far, what lessons should African nations, draw from the incidents in terms of safeguarding political stability and fostering public trust in these democratic processes?
Yes, I will take on from the last thing I said, and that is that intelligence is key to the ability to prevent this kind of attempts at assassination. Intelligence is key. Once intelligence is robust, intelligence is effective, it makes it impossible to identify where threats are and then deal with such threats before this kind of action of shooting takes place. And that is the first thing to do. The second thing to emphasize is the need for measured approach to politics. The need to conduct politics with civility. It is true, as it is said, that elections are like warfare without guns. But we have had people who conducted elections with, civility. They are seeking power, but they are civil. They are human about it. Whether we like it or not, the rhetoric that Trump has presented over the years has led to a divisive country, a country that is bifurcated, a country divided, the right wing being on one side, and then even those in the middle are being, alleged to be to the left. And you hear comments such as, "Oh, they are taking us to socialism," and all that. The rhetoric of Donald Trump has polarized the United States, and it has created a condition for this conflict. In fact, to use the Nigerian parlance, it has brought heat into the politics. And that heat is a factor in this attempt to assassinate. If you see the way Trump supporters, the frenzy that follows, the way they conduct themselves. And of course, we have an example in the 2021 invasion of the Capitol, where they invaded the place and wanted to hurt people, the Vice President Pence, and others, others there. So the politics with civility, politics without bitterness is one thing, and then robust intelligence is another. So that if you have some bad guys who are planning something evil, they are detected early and they are prevented from being able to carry out their violent acts. These are things I think the US needs to do and the rest of the world needs to do to prevent this kind of assassination attempt as we experienced in the US a few days ago.
All right, many thanks for that elaborate submission. But listening to you, let's look at the historical precedents, because I must ask, how have previous attempts on political figures influenced electoral outcomes and public discourse in the US? And the reason why I'm asking this is because I would like us to bring in some strategies here. What strategies should political campaigns, employ to mitigate the impact of security threats on candidates, visibility, and I think public outcry efforts?
There is need for reasonableness. There is need for those who seek public office to focus on service and the common good. And if you are someone who is seeking public office and your interest is the common good and promoting development, and that you are seeking, power not for narrow interest, you are likely going to be reasonable. You're likely going to be measured in your approach to, seeking power. That is a key thing that has to happen. And what has happened in the US has happened partly because Trump and his group, have brought heat into the politics, so to speak. The way they have approached, campaigns and the seeking of political power. There is a whole lot of conspiracy theory. In fact, they still continue to say that Trump won the election in the last time, and in 2020, and that he was robbed. That was one of the reasons why they invaded the Capitol, in January 2021. So the actions and activities of those who seek, public office is key. If they are measured, they are civil about it, they are not concerned about their interests, so they are not, it's not a do or die thing. There is no politics of bitterness. The likelihood is that you won't have this kind of, this kind of thing. The chances that this kind of things will happen will be reduced to the barest minimum. But when self-interest is the issue, self-ego, Superman posture, and all that, it creates a condition for this kind of thing. So not just for the US, around the world, where people approach politics with reasonableness, they are measured. You don't have things like this happen. It's when you have the polity being crisis being created by the way some politicians conduct themselves. That is where you have this kind of things happen, and that is what we recommend. That politics is not war. If you are going there for service, let people vote you. If they don't vote you, fine. You won't feel so bad. You won't be sad because you were going for service. Usually when people go for their narrow interest, that's where you have things like this happen. And that is what we recommend. For instance, in 2008, when it was McCain versus Obama, both gentlemen were civil. We didn't have this kind of divisive politics, and so these are the kind of things that we recommend, and it's one of the important things to do that would ensure that attempts like this to kill, assassinate, reduce to the barest minimum, both in the US and elsewhere.
All right, many thanks again for that insight right there. But I think the next question for me is the fact that I feel that I must touch on how international observers, have contributed to ensuring transparency and fairness in US in terms of the election amidst all the highlighted security concerns. So I must ask you, considering your own expertise in strategic studies, what long-term implication does this event, hold for the security protocols, surrounding political events globally, including in African nations?
Well, what was not done well was coordination and intelligence. It's surprising that somebody could climb that roof very close to where the rally was holding, and the person was not spotted. It had to take, passers-by to draw attention of security forces to what had happened. That's one.
And that is also, of course, all over the world, attention needs to be paid to that. The security forces, intelligence, and all that. Second is coordination. One is surprised that some security arm of the security didn't know what the other arms were doing, and so one arm assumed that the person that was on the roof belonged to one other arm of the security forces. One is surprised that that coordination. There were many layers of security, there, the local police and all the other layers that were there, the federal and the rest. But clearly there was no coordination. There was no proper coordination, which gave room for this man to take advantage and then climb the place. And even when he was identified to be there, the different. This one thought it belonged to the man belonged to the other side. This side thought it belonged to. So coordination is one thing that was also emphasized. Cooperation and coordination. If for political officers, even for leaders, there needs to be this. But I must say one thing: the way the security around Trump responded is very fascinating. In a blink of an eye, they had given him cover, they had protected him. In fact, someone was ready to take bullets, in place of him. That is very fascinating, and that is also recommended for other parts of the world. That the security agencies, security men who guide leaders of respective countries, should be that smart, should be that perceptive. As soon as you hear something, everybody took cover very quickly, and they gave him protection. But of course, it doesn't have to get to that stage. If they had noticed, if intelligence revealed that someone was about to do that, they would have taken him away, and prevented the violence from taking place. That would have been a better approach. But once in a while, intelligence does not pick everything. And when it happens like this, the kind of rapidity and smartness with which the security forces responded and gave Trump cover, is recommended for, security agents all over the world in protecting, political leaders that they are meant to protect. So these are lessons we learn from, what took place in the attempt to assassinate Trump a few days ago.
Professor Aworawo, for all that you've shared thus far. It's been an interesting time with you on Real Talk Cooking. But before I let you go, there's the last segment of the show that I call Trending Stories. These are stories that affect us and bind us as Nigerians or as Africans. And the first trending story that caught my attention is that of the Nigerians, now are able to obtain UAE visas. And this is where I have an opinion. So let me start off by saying that, the recent news that Nigerian passport holders can now get visas to travel to the United Arab Emirates, UAE, is a big deal for them or for us. Let me take ownership with them, despite whatever. But this change shows how strong our diplomatic, efforts are, and is also a positive sign after a time of tense relations between the two countries in the past. And Nigeria and UAE have had a complex relationship, in terms of what trade, involving trade, tourism, and diplomacy. So the visa ban had caused a lot of problems or challenges, like I like to say on this platform, making it hard or making it challenging for Nigerians to travel to the UAE, for business, for tourism, even for education. And this ban, affected not just individuals, but also the Nigerian economy at large, especially the young people who see the UAE as a land of opportunities. Now that the ban is lifted, I believe that it's open for new chances for jobs, education, and businesses or business. So for the Nigerian economy, I believe that this is good news for those who are finding it very challenging to go to Europe, to Asia, to US, and all of that. UAE has always been their America, so to speak. So it will likely lead to more money being sent home, by Nigerians working in the UAE, which will help the economy grow. So business people can now access a key market again, boasting, I think, the trade relations and the economic cooperation between us. And the tourism sector is also something that I would like to quickly touch on, because it has had a hit, you know, a hard hit by the travel restrictions. So I believe that this lift of ban will also, you know, benefit those who are traveling in terms of tourism activities between the two countries, you know. So for young Nigerians, particularly the Gen Zs, you know, the Gen Zs crowd, you know, that likes to want to show up everything on socials in terms of validation, you know, this news is a source of hope. I've seen all sorts of reactions on socials. I was like, okay, let me help the Gen Z small to help them jubilate this into a, and also with the fact that many of them have been looking to migrate. I don't know if I should touch on that, but I try to keep it real on this platform. Many of them have been looking for how to migrate or jackpot, that's their word, that's the street word, as a financial goal, you know. So this development lift up their dreams, so to speak, offering new ways to grow personally and professionally. So the UAE new 10-year blue residency visa for environmental production advocacy, you know, that was announced earlier, could also provide special opportunities for young Nigerians interested in environmental issues. Hence the reason why I'm talking about the migrate issue in terms of JACPA, you know. So in short, guys, let me hold my breath. The UAE starting to issue visas to Nigerian passport holders again is a great news, you know, and it shows a return to good diplomatic relations and holds great promises for economic growth and the improvement of Nigerian youth. You know, this agreement highlights the importance of ongoing dialogue, you know, and negotiation in building international cooperation and mutual benefit. And I think that, you know, if I want to throw some people under the bus, there are quite some number of people that are around me that have never been to UAE before. Can you imagine? That's why their exposure, they know themselves. My husband is one of them. I just thought I should change that. This would be a good one for people who haven't been there before. We never prioritize, you know, UAE as a place, apart from going to Europe and many other countries, Asia and the likes and all of that. But I believe that this is a good one for quite a number of people who are also hoping to visit Dubai. Sir, what's your take on this?
Well, you've almost said it all. It's great news. It's exciting news. It is exhilarating news. We are happy that diplomacy has yielded fruits. You know, there was apprehension all this while the ban, you know, persisted. And a whole lot was going on behind the scene, which is how it ought to be done. The other time our president visited, and you know, there was this misunderstanding as to what was agreed on or what was agreed to, as the case may be. But behind the scenes since then, a whole lot had gone on, and we are happy that the efforts have, you know, yielded fruits. Like you said, it provides opportunity for economic, you know, cooperation and economic development for both countries. Opportunity for, you know, educational exchanges, scientific cooperation, just name it. The restriction is something that shouldn't have happened. But now that reason has prevailed and it has been lifted, it is just good news, and it's news we have greeted with glee. And we hope that it will provide the avenue for even closer relations moving forward that will benefit both Nigerians and citizens of the United Arab Emirates. So it's good news. We congratulate UAE, and we will congratulate more Nigerians who will take advantage of the opportunities that, you know, are made possible by this lifting of restriction.
Many thanks for your submission on the first trending story. Let me move to the second trending story, which is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that appoints the controversial Mrs. Mojisola Oluwa Kehinde Ali Macaulay to key position. And giving my own submission first before I come to my guest, I feel that this appointment not only raises questions but also reveals the memory of the controversial episode of during the COVID-19 pandemic. Back in 2020, during the height of the pandemic, the Nigerian government, distributed palliative to help, alleviate the suffering of the citizens. However, Mrs. Ali Macaulay, then a Lagos State House of Assembly member, was accused of misappropriation of this palliative, reportedly using them as souvenirs for a birthday celebration. This alleged misconduct highlighted, the deep-seated issues of corruption and misuse of public resources. We try to keep it real on this platform. That's why it's called Real Talk with Kike. And given this background, appointment to the NSITF, an institution crucial for providing social insurance to Nigerian workers, is viewed by many as a blatant disregard for accountability and integrity, and critics argue that this move undermines efforts to combat corruption and set a dangerous precedent for governance in Nigeria. And social media is abuzz with criticism, with many Nigerians questioning President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commitment to fighting corruption and improving governance. At least before coming to the studio today, I saw quite a number of reactions on socials, and the NSITF is vital for the welfare of Nigerian workers, providing compensation for occupational hazards, and ensuring their well-being. So appointing someone with controversial past to such a key position raises serious concerns, about the future of the organization and its ability to fulfill its mandate effectively. So while some supporters defend the appointment, arguing that Mrs. Ali Macaulay deserves a second chance, and that our past mistakes, to be precise, should not overshadow a potential contribution. So this view is not wildly shared, if I must say. Many believe that public office should be reserved for individuals with impeccable integrity and, of course, a proven record of serving public interest and all. So this controversy surrounding these appointments underscores the broader issue of accountability in the Nigerian politics today, and of course the urgent need for leaders who prioritize the welfare of the people over their own personal gain is what is their calling to fall. Let me come to you quickly, Professor Aworawo. What's your take with this? I'm sure you must have seen it on socials.
Yes, my position is that she shouldn't have been appointed. Incidentally, the place she's appointed to is also a place where social insurance, social insurance that has to do with where money will be disbursed and where compensation will be given and all that. It's similar to like giving you COVID-19 palliative or, So I think she should have been appointed into that position. I know she's a strong ally of the president, and people normally will be compensated for their, contribution to the emergence of the president. But I think they will have looked for something else to give to her. I think the president does not remember. If he did, I'm confident he won't appoint her. And I say this because just a few days ago, somebody was appointed for the Ogoni clean-up project, and the Ogoni protested. The president has withdrawn that person and reinstated the Ogoni person who was there before. CVs come in here and there, and sometimes the president does not have all the details. I'm sure if the president knows, he won't appoint her. There are many people who work for the president who have not been given anything, and heavens have not fallen. And if Ms. Macaulay will be given something, it should be something else, not handling something that has to do with money and funds again for the vulnerable, so to speak. So I don't support the appointment, and I don't know whether whether it would not be too many withdrawals of appointment. The president will have been aware of this now, and I'm sure he won't be happy that he did it.
because this name just come in. He doesn't remember everything about what the person has done before now, and I'm sure if he knew, he wouldn't do it. He would look for something else for her. Let's see how things work out. But if they end up leaving her, the controversy now is good. The controversy now, if she's perceptive, the controversy now should make her be very careful and then act honestly and uprightly in this new appointment. That's if the president does not replace her with someone else. That's my perspective on the appointment of Mrs. Ali Macaulay.
All right, many thanks again for all your submission thus far. It's been an interesting time with you, my resourceful guest, Professor David Aworawo. Thank you so much for coming on Real Talk with Kike again today. It's nice seeing you, and I wish you the very best as you continue to forge ahead in your career, and I wish you longevity in Sparkling of L for you to be able to render your opinion on issues that affect us. So many thanks again. This is where I draw the curtains of the show. Till I come your way on Thursday, remember to catch me live on Inspiration FM 92.3 tomorrow, drive time show at 5 p.m. Bye now.